abandoned newborn leopard and had a surprise when he raised it. What would you do if one day you found yourself face to face with a creature so rare and powerful that you could hardly believe it was real? What if the animal you thought was a harmless puppy turned out to be one of the most dangerous, elusive creatures on the planet? A boy's simple act of kindness would change his life forever, as he saved a tiny, helpless animal that no one else would have thought twice about. But little did he know, that puppy was not just a dog, it was a black panther. This is a story of trust, of danger, and of an unforgettable friendship between a boy and an animal unlike any other. It all started on an ordinary day when a young boy was walking alone in the mountains, enjoying the fresh air and the peaceful surroundings. He had no idea that his life was about to change forever. As he walked along a trail, something caught his eye. It wasn't much, just a small, helpless creature buried beneath a pile of leaves. At first, he thought it was just a stray puppy, maybe abandoned by its mother, alone and defenseless in the wild. What could he do? He couldn't just leave the poor thing there. So he carefully picked up the tiny creature, noticing immediately that it was still very much a newborn, its umbilical cord still attached. It was covered in dirt and the remnants of amniotic fluid, showing that it had been left behind in a hurry. The boy's heart went out to the animal. It was so small, no bigger than a mouse, barely able to open its eyes and crying out in hunger. In that moment, he made a decision. He didn't know what the animal was, but it was clear that it needed help, and he was the one to provide it. He took it home without a second thought and set about caring for it. At first, raising this tiny creature seemed like taking care of any other puppy. The boy bought special food, a small bed, and some toys. But everything seemed so small compared to the animal that had now become his responsibility. He had no idea what he was raising. All he knew was that it needed him, and he was ready to give it the love and care it deserved. The first few days were tough. The puppy was so weak, so small, and it required round-the-clock attention. The boy stayed up late at night, feeding it, holding it close, making sure it felt safe and loved. It was a challenge, but it was also an experience that would shape both of their lives forever. As time passed, the puppy began to grow, and the boy noticed something strange. Although the puppy was docile, friendly, and affectionate, its appearance began to change in ways that puzzled the boy. At first, people thought it was just a regular dog, but there was something about its jet black fur and face that made it look a little more like a bear than a typical puppy. But there was something else. As the animal grew, so did its strange characteristics. The boy, too, began to wonder. This was no ordinary dog. It was bigger, stronger, and more agile than any dog he had ever seen. It started moving with a strange grace, climbing and jumping in ways that seemed more suited to a wild animal than a domesticated pet. As the months went by, the boy's doubts grew stronger. The puppy was growing faster than he had expected. Its weight was increasing at an alarming rate, and its body was becoming more muscular. It was starting to resemble something completely different from the dogs in the boy's family. The animal was also becoming more and more cat-like in its behavior. It began to climb, moving with an almost otherworldly agility. The boy was baffled. He thought back to the day he had found the animal in the mountains. Could it have been a wild animal all along? Could it be something more dangerous than a simple dog? The more the boy thought about it, the more concerned he became. One day, after the animal had grown significantly larger, the boy decided to take it to the vet. He needed answers. The veterinarian took a long look at the animal and conducted a series of tests, and then came to a shocking conclusion. The animal wasn't a dog at all. It was a black panther, an incredibly rare and dangerous species. The revelation was mind-blowing. Black panthers are incredibly rare, often seen only in movies, and almost never found in the wild. In fact, black panthers with pure black fur are seen in less than 10% of the wild leopard population. To think that the boy had found and raised one without even knowing it, it was almost unbelievable. The boy learned that black panthers are extremely strong and have powerful hunting instincts. They can tear apart a cow in the blink of an eye. The animal he had been lovingly raising was no puppy. It was a wild, apex predator. The shock didn't end there. The boy now had to confront the reality of the situation. He had raised an incredibly dangerous animal without even realizing what he was dealing with. The panther's body was made for survival in the wild. It was a hunter by nature, with instincts that were far beyond anything the boy could control. Despite the danger, the boy had already formed a deep bond with the Black Panther. The animal had grown up with him, and the two were inseparable. The panther had been raised with love and care, and despite its wild nature, it had formed a bond with the boy that could not be broken. The boy's life had changed completely because of the love he had for this animal, and he knew that there was no going back. But with the realization of what the panther was, the authorities had to step in. The panther was taken to a conservation center, where it would be cared for in a safe environment. The boy was heartbroken. His friend, the animal he had raised from a tiny, helpless creature, was now a wild animal, and it had to be kept in a place where it could be protected and safe from the dangers of the outside world. But despite the separation, the bond between the boy and the panther remained. He visited regularly, and the reunion between them was always emotional. The boy still loved the panther as much as he did when it was a small puppy in his hands. The story of the boy and the Black Panther is one of friendship that defies all odds. It's a reminder that love and loyalty can transcend all boundaries, species, size, and even danger. The panther had been raised as a pet, but its wild nature never disappeared. And yet, it remained loyal to the boy who had cared for it, proving that the bond they shared was something truly special. What can we learn from this story? We can learn that love doesn't always look like we expect. Sometimes the most unlikely friendships are the ones that make the biggest impact on our lives. It shows us that no matter how different we are from others, whether it's an animal or a person, we can still form deep, meaningful connections. This story is also about trust. The boy trusted the panther with his love, even when he didn't know what it was, and the panther trusted him in return. It's a reminder that sometimes trust comes before understanding, and sometimes it's that trust that helps us form the most beautiful relationships. Now, think about this. How often do we find ourselves hesitating because we think someone or something is too different from us? Whether it's a person, an animal, or even an opportunity, we often let fear or misunderstanding hold us back. But what if, instead of avoiding what's different, we embraced it? What if we took the chance to connect with someone or something new, just like the boy did with the panther? If you've been moved by this incredible story, I encourage you to share it. Let others see that sometimes the most unexpected bonds are the strongest ones. And if you're inspired by the courage and loyalty shown in this story, take a moment to reach out to someone who might need a friend, even if they're different from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more heartwarming and incredible stories like this one. Keep spreading love, keep spreading positivity, and remember, sometimes the most unlikely friendships are the ones that change us forever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.